Current First Lady Melania Trump is the epitome of grace and style, conducting herself with the dignity and class that has long been missing from the White House. Saturday marks the end of her first year as she has navigated an onslaught of landmines laid about by detractors and hostile media that look for reasons to criticize and create drama regarding her every move. Mrs. Trump is known for her privacy and understated elegance. Carrying herself with quiet dignity, she has been likened to Jackie O many times, and she just simply does not lower herself to their level of schoolyard antics. Despite that, it did not stop the critics from sinking to all new levels of low all on their own, as evidenced by the barrage of designers that felt it necessary to announce to the world that they refused to dress the former model and current First Lady. Among them, Sophie Thielett, who stated as one who celebrates and strives for diversity, individual freedom, and respect for all lifestyles, "I will not participate in dressing or associating in any way with the next First Lady." The left never seems to grasp the irony that diversity, freedom, and respect are not a one-way street. Then there was Stilettogate, which made much ado about the First Lady's choice to leave the White House wearing high heels to go to Texas to assess damage from Hurricane Harvey and change the tennis shoes aboard Air Force One upon landing was somehow wrong. People lost everything in a hurricane, and major news outlets were more concerned about the First Lady changing her shoes on Air Force One. Let's ponder that for a minute, shall we? Cringeworthy, isn't it? Her choice of footwear had become a ridiculous topic of discussion, with mainstream media outlets attempting to paint her as disdainful and distant from the victims of the disaster. Conservative media shot back that it was another example of the media's anti-Trump derangement. Spiky pumps are completely appropriate footwear for a hurricane zone, right? Snarked a critic at the Daily Beast under the headline, "Melania Trump heads to Houston hurricane zone in sky-high stilettos." While the First Lady refrained from answering her critics directly, her communications director put out a statement saying, "It's sad that we have an active and ongoing natural disaster in Texas, and people are worried about her shoes." Mrs. Trump has also been criticized for her anti-cyberbullying campaign because her critics think it is at odds with President Donald Trump's Twitter habits. The First Lady has stated of her anti-cyberbullying initiative in November, according to The Guardian, "Our culture has gotten too mean and too rough, especially to children and teenagers. It is never okay when a 12-year-old girl or boy is mocked, bullied or attacked. It is terrible when that happens on the playground, and it is absolutely unacceptable when it's done by someone with no name hiding on the internet." Has been hysterical and uncouth. Unfunny comedian Chelsea Handler often has taken to Twitter to attack Mrs. Trump as well as Barron Trump, Mrs. Trump's son with President Trump. She most recently went after the First Lady, accusing her of not being able to speak English. Except that is completely false. Melania can speak 5 different languages and English is just one of them. The only language Handler speaks is the ridiculous third-wave feminist fiction that she and her leftist progressive Hollywood friends unleash on anyone who disagrees with them because we alternate points of view. Who needs that? Handler and her friends could learn a few things about grace, decorum, class, and dignity from Mrs. Trump. Critics also bashed Mrs. Trump's choice of Christmas decorations this year for White House because nothing is off-limits, calling the White House a house of horrors, and The New Yorker referred to Mrs. Trump as a wicked queen, and she was repeatedly criticized for wearing a coat while decorating the Christmas tree. One hallway in the White House was decorated in all white and lined with trees. The First Lady's detractors compared it to The Nightmare Before Christmas, The Blair Witch Project, and The Shining. She was even criticized at one point during the White House Christmas festivities because she was caught interacting with predominantly African American children. Yet the Trump administration is supposed to be so very racist. They better change that narrative in a hurry. Oh, I forgot. Now they are accusing her of staging the encounter. Despite all of this, many consider Mrs. Trump's first year as the First Lady to be a rousing success. She has kept her composure despite continued vicious and unprecedented attacks against herself, her son, and her husband by a brutal and vicious media and public intent on creating news rather than reporting it. Through it all, she has managed to maintain a low profile and keep her head held high. Follow us on Facebook at Freedom Daily.